Hello and welcome back. So in the last two lectures, we learned about Mongoose built-in validators, as well as we also learned how we can create our own custom validators. Now in this lecture, we are going to learn how to use a third-party validator. And for that, what we are going to do is we are going to create a new user schema. And based on that user schema, we are going to create a user model. And there we are going to use some of the validators using a third-party package. So let's go to VS Code. And here in the last lecture, we created this custom validator. But here, instead of using this custom validator, I'm going to use the built-in min and max validator here. So min value should be 0 and max value should be 5. Okay, let me save the changes. Also, let's go to this utilities folder and there let's go to this feature.js file. And here earlier I had set the default value for limit as 50, but now I'm going to change it back to 10. Okay, let's save the changes here as well. I'll close this file and I'll also close this hotel.js file for now. And now what I want is I want to create a new model. I want to create a user model. For that, in this models folder, I'm going to create a new file and I'll call it as user.js. Now, as we have learned before, in order to create a model, first we define the schema. And based on that schema, we can create a Mongoose model. So here, let's go ahead and let's create a variable and let's call it as user schema. And to create a schema, we use new and then on the Mongoose object. So to use this Mongoose object, we also need to require Mongoose package. And here, let me remove this default. Okay. And on this Mongoose, we can use the schema method. And here, let's remove these curly braces. Okay. So on this Mongoose object, we have schema class. So we are calling the constructor of the schema class. Okay. And to this, we need to pass an object. In that object, first of all, I want to have a first name property. This first name property should be of type string. I want to trim any spaces if we have before and after the first name. So I'll say trim as true. I want to save the first name in lowercase. So I'll say lowercase as true. Okay. And first name should be a required field. So I'll set required to true. In the same way, I also want to have a last name field. So I'll copy this and let's paste it here. And here, let's call this field as last name. Okay, so last name also should have a type string. We are going to trim any spaces before and after the last name. So for that, I have set trim to true. Lowercase, I want to save last name also in lowercase. So I have set it to true. And last name is a required field. Or maybe what we can do is we can remove this required field from the last name. So first name should be a required field, but last name is not a required field. Then after that, I'm going to have an email field. Okay, so when we are going to create a user, the user has to provide his first name, last name, and email. And we are going to use the email field of the user for login. So basically, this email is going to be the username of the user. While logging into our application, the user has to provide his email and password. So this email here, it is going to be of type string. Okay, it is going to be a required field. So I'm setting required to true. Again, I'm going to trim any spaces before and after email, and I'm going to convert it to lowercase before saving it. And this email should be unique for each user. No two user can have same email. So here I'm also going to use unique constraint. Okay, and I'm going to set it to true. So every email in the users collection should have a unique value. No two users can have the same email. Then I'm also going to specify a photo field here and I'm going to set its type as string. Here I'm not going to make it as required. And finally, we are going to have a password field. This password is going to be of type string. And this password, it is also going to be a required field. So I'll set required to true. And let's say for the password, when a user is providing his password while signing up to our application, the password should have a minimum of 8 characters. So here I'm also going to use the minLength validator. And here I'm going to set the minimum length as 8 characters. Okay, and in the same way, I'm also going to create a confirm password. So when the user is signing up to our application, the user also needs to provide the value for the confirm password, because before creating the user, before registering the user, we are going to compare the provided password with the confirm password. If they match, then only we are going to create the user. Okay, so for the confirm password also, the type is going to be string, required should be true, and from here I can remove this min length. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm also going to specify custom validation error messages. So since this is a required field, I'm going to wrap it within square brackets, and here let's simply say first name is a required field. Okay, so I'm specifying a custom validation error message here. I'm going to copy this message. Then last name is not required, but email is required. So again, this also I'll wrap within square brackets, and I'll specify a custom validation error message, and here I'll say email is a required field. Then for password also, I'm going to say password is a required field. All right. And here also let's say confirm password is a required field. Okay. So here we have created a user schema, and using this user schema, we are specifying that for a user, we want to have first name field, last name field, email, photo, password, and confirm password field. Then here, I'm also going to specify the second argument for the schema, and in there, I'm going to set an option, and that option is timestamps. Here, I'm going to set timestamps to true. Now, what it is going to do is, whenever a new user document will be created in the database, since we have set this timestamps to true, it is going to create two extra fields, created at and updated at. And these fields will be updated. So the created at field will be updated when we are creating the document for the first time, and the updated at field will be updated with the date and time when that document was last updated. All right, now based on this schema, let's go ahead and let's create a model. So here I'm going to create a variable. I'll call it as user. So as we have learned before, since we are creating a model, the convention is the model name should start with an uppercase letter. And here to create a model again on the Mongoose, we are going to use this model method. And as the first argument to this model, we need to specify what should be the model name. Here, I want to call my model as user. Okay. And as the second argument, we are going to pass the schema based on which we want to create this user model. Here, I want to create the user model using this user schema. And finally, we are going to export this user model. So here, instead of creating a variable, I'm simply going to say module.exports. And from here, we are going to export this model. Let's save this file. So here we have created a schema. Now in here, I want to use some validators which is not provided by Mongoose. For example, for this email, I want to add a validation where if the email is not a valid email, if it does not contain @ symbol and .com, in that case, I want to throw a validation error message. For that, I can go ahead and I can use the match validator, and to that I can assign a regular expression, and in that regular expression I can specify how the email should look like. But instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a third-party package for the validation. Now, which package we are going to use? So let me go ahead and let me open Google Chrome here. And here, let's go to npmjs.com. And in npmjs.com, I'm going to search for a package called Validator. So this is the package which we want to use in our Node application. And this package provides us some validators which we can use on a string value. So first of all, remember that this Validator.js, this package can only be used on string values. So it is a library of string validators and sanitizers. So it not only provides validators, it also provides sanitizers. Sanitizers means it is going to provide us some functions which we can use for sanitizing the data. So from this package for the email field, if I scroll down, these are the validators which this package provides. So here we have contains, equals, is ABA routing, is after, is alpha. So all these validators we can use in our code if we use this package. Okay, now I am interested in two validators. The first validator is this is alpha validator, which is going to check if a string contains only letters. And the second validator is email. So if I scroll down, we also have this is email validator, and it is going to check if the string is an email or not. So these are the two validators which I'm interested in. Now to use this validator package in our Express application, first of all, we need to import it. So let's go to VS Code, and here let's open VS Code built-in terminal. Okay, and here I'm going to write npm install command, and I want to install validator package. If I press enter, it is going to install the validator package from npm. So if I go to package.json file, you will see that the validator package is installed, and here we have installed validator package version 13. Now we want to use this validator package in user.js file. So first of all, we are going to require it. So for that, I'll say const validator equals require, and here we want to require validator package. Now what I want is from this validator package, for the first name and last name, I want to use a validator called isAlpha, because first name and last name should only contain letters. It should not contain numbers or special characters. So to use the validator, here we are going to use the validate property. And in the last lecture, using this validate property, we created our custom validator. For that, to this validate, what we did is we assigned a function. And here also we are going to do the same thing. To this validate, we are going to assign a function. Basically, these validators which you see here, these are nothing but functions. And we can assign this validate method with a function. So here I'll use this variable, and here I'll say validator dot is alpha. Okay, and if you want to specify your own custom validation error message, then you can wrap this within square brackets and the second argument of this array. So the first argument is this validator function, and the second argument can be the validation error message. So here I'll say first name can only contain letters. Okay, in the same way, I'm going to use this same is alpha validator on the last name, and here I'll say last name can only contain letters. Then for this email field, I want to use another validator provided by this validator package. So again, here we are going to use validate, and to this I'm going to assign an array. Inside that array, I'm going to use this validator object, and on that I'm going to use is email validator. So this is email validator is going to check whether the value which we have received for this email field, if it is a valid email or not. Okay, if the email is not valid, in that case, we are going to specify a custom validation error message where we will say provided email is not valid. Okay, and in the same way, if I go back to the documentation of validator package, we also have other validators like this is alphanumeric. So this is alphanumeric is going to check if a string value contains only letters and numbers. It does not contain any other special character. Then we have this is base 64. This is also a validator which checks if a string is base 64 encoded. Okay, and in the same way, we have lot of validator functions here. We also have this isCurrency to check if a string is a valid currency amount. Then we have this isDate to check if a string is a valid date. We have this is divisible by to check if a string is a number that is divisible by another number. All right. Then we have this is empty validator, which checks if a string is an empty string or not. So all these validators can be very useful in our code. Currently from this validator package, I'm using two validators, is email and this is alpha. But in future, it is possible that we might need some validator from this package when we are going to create other models. But here in this lecture, I just wanted to show you that we can also use third-party validator packages in our Express application to validate the schema. And this is how we use it. And here we also created this user model. So this user model we are going to use when we are going to start working on authentication and authorization. All right, so this is all I wanted to cover in this lecture. If you have any questions from this lecture, then feel free to ask it. Thank you for listening and have a great day.